X-Men. What is X-Men? What is Men of X? Okay, it's not that kind of video, but you know, this has been a very X-Men year so far with the new show on Disney+, Deadpool and Wolverine trailers, a new Wolverine game that's coming out, and I just wanted to really have some fun looking at some of the more overlooked X-Men movies from the past 2 decades and seeing how they stack up today. So come with me and you'll be in a world of X-imagination. Okay, I feel like more people talk about the trashy, fun X-Men Origins Wolverine movie more than the Wolverine. James Mangold directed it, in which he would then direct Logan, which is still one of the most talked about X-Men movies, in my opinion. So I guess this feels like a clear stepping stone on what they could really do with a Wolverine movie. But what I will say after rewatching, I still think it's fun to really see James Mangold and his team make something that is very sincere to the character's origins and build some elements around our fear of mortality. I think making Wolverine lose his healing factor was a great jumping off point for Wolverine's adventure in Japan. Speaking of Japan, we have yet another Marvel-related character being involved with the atomic bomb. But unlike Immortals, it's probably the most tasteful way of using this tragedy to weave into the story and its themes. But the beginning of this movie really sets up the character of the Wolverine, who is now a reclusive mountain man that dreams about the horrors of X-Men The Last Stand. Me too, buddy. Me too. That scene with the bear really drives the rest of the movie's plot, and for some reason, I got some God of War 2018 and The Last of Us vibes. Just something about using animals as metaphors is always really cool to see. Once Wolverine gets to Japan, though, I think that's where the rest of the Japanese cast really pull a lot of weight, with the standout having to be Rila Fukushima as Yukio. Like, is it just me, or does Wolverine paired with a badass woman always create an interesting dynamic? The Wolverine also feels like a less bleak Logan, which gives the script more opportunities for humor and even more action set pieces like the bullet train, the ninja sneak attack, and even some of the samurai swordplay that really takes advantage of the Japan setting. In fact, I would say the last 20 minutes are pretty much Fox mandating a reveal that warranted a big CGI battle, and the writers did their best to align it sensibly. All I'm saying is, why did Silver Samurai have to be a giant mech suit? Man, the prequel X-Men movies were trying so hard to catch up to Marvel. Just imagine if Marvel made an Avengers movie first, and then made the Age of Ultron movie, then made the Infinity Saga movie. That's like getting on a roller coaster, but it's only parts where you're screaming your head off, and after each one, a bunch of people fall off after you learn their names, and you just keep going and going and going until you grow numb and ambivalent to what's actually happening. Anyways, Dark Phoenix would experience the worst marketing for an X-Men movie, and the reviews were very unforgiving. The mentality of the 4th and final installment of the X-Men prequel movies reflected that sort of X-Men should be in the MCU sentiment that some people would probably regret in the current Disney sucks era. But is it really that bad? Here's the thing. When First Class came out, it was a breath of fresh air for the X-Men franchise as a whole, with a new interpretation of the team's formation, as well as pretty much perfectly casting McAvoy and Fassbender as Professor S and Magneto. Then Days of Future Past came, and everyone was really feeling the original X-Men trilogy nostalgia that they were begging for. Then Apocalypse came out, and it's almost like the glut of huge budget superhero battles lose all their meaning when the characters we get throughout these movies feel so background. So yeah, Dark Phoenix really walks the line of Apocalypse and First Class, and I think aside from the performances of McAvoy, Fassbender, and Sophie Turner as the new Jean Grey, everyone else is just there for the ride. At least when the original X-Men trilogy tried their interpretation of the Dark Phoenix story, and kind of failed, we already had 2 movies really flesh out some of the X-Men, and there were plenty of stakes in all of it, with main characters dying and all hell breaking loose. This X-Men just feels empty, and none of them ever feel like close friends, but we're just assuming that whatever timeline of X-Men they are, it's the same people from the original trilogy, right? And who are the antagonists of this movie besides a Phoenix Force-controlled Jean Grey? Aliens. Not Skrulls, but the Dabari, and they want the Phoenix Force because world domination. Yeah, the left field aliens could have been removed entirely and would probably make for a more character-centric conflict between the government, the Mutant Brotherhood, and the X-Men, but I don't know, this thread just felt underutilized and kind of jumped the shark, which is really saying something. I will say the pacing doesn't feel like a total slog, and for as many characters involved, it never feels as bloated as Apocalypse was. And I think if you want a less cringy and silly take on the Dark Phoenix, it's not the worst of the two options you have. Plus, the last few action scenes really had some weight that I hope the next Magneto adaptation could learn from. Just saying. Okay, to give background to what this movie had to go through to come out, let's summarize an article about the production hell that was The New Mutants. Original article link in the description below. So between April 2017, July 2017, Fox starts announcing, a new X-Men project, the New Mutants trilogy, envisioning a fresh spin on the X-Men universe. February 2018 comes around, director Josh Boone spooks everyone with tales of eerie encounters during filming at Medfield State Hospital, the main setting, but also sets the tone for the film's behind-the-scenes drama. March 2019, the Disney-Fox merger leaves the New Mutants and its mutants in training in limbo, as release dates are shuffled like a deck of mutant-themed playing cards, Gambit style. And then around August 2020, after numerous delays and a pandemic-induced hiatus, the New Mutants finally hits theaters, leaving fans wondering if it's a mutant miracle or just a cosmic joke. And yeah, I think by the time the movie finally came out, people just weren't ready to invest in another superhero team. Not to mention that apart from some nods here and there to Mr. Sinister, Professor X, and other mutants, this is as far away from an X-Men movie that could be marketed to a general public that was pretty much familiar with X-Men characters like Wolverine. So really, this movie was destined to get zero recognition or attention, and the people that saw it just didn't care enough. I don't want to spoil or have to explain a lot of the plot details of this movie because it really does take some time to interpret what's real and what's not, but the film does its best to focus more on character building the New Mutants, establishing their dynamics and relationships, and creating a finale that allows everyone to overcome their fears. And it accomplishes most of this in about an hour and a half. Yeah, there are a lot of gets that I'm sure were left on the cutting room floor that could have helped, but I think if you like shows like Stranger Things or The Umbrella Academy, this is something different and familiar enough to sink your teeth into. My hat goes off to Boone and the entire cast, who did their best to work with the material they had, not to mention that its exploration of darker themes for its youthful cast that isn't just learning to control their powers makes me wonder how interesting a full-on horror movie with superhero elements would really be. Fun fact, 2 of the 3 movies we have talked about have a CGI bear. Just saying. So yeah, these movies feel like they deserve some kind of recognition. Some were stepping stones to bigger and better projects, while others were pretty much withering in production hell and merger drama to the point where they were buried pretty much. It's a real shame that they never reached their full potential in some respects, but I hope that the people involved have learned from these projects and continue to improve in future X-Men films. So yeah, if any of these suit your fancy, feel free to check them out on Disney+, DVD, pirate them, I don't care, but I hope you found some enjoyment to the point where you'll want to see them. Thanks again for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Super Media Runners.